So hello guys. So in the last video we learned how to use the lambda expression. So today we are going to learn about one of the built-in functional interface in Java 8, namely the supplier interface. So let's get started. Now first we will see what is supplier. So supplier interface is one of the built-in functional interface introduced in Java 8, and it is a part of a Java util functional package which has only one abstract method. It qualifies as a functional interface. This make it compatible with a lambda expression and method reference, and a method that takes no arguments and return a value of type t. So don't worry, I will explain you this with example. First I will go through the what is supplier interface. So in last video we have already learned that how to use lambda expression. If you don't watch this video, then click on this I button and watch that video. First, in beginning, suppose if you want to declare an integer, so what we are doing, so int a equals to 1. So in last video I have already teach you functional interface is the data type of the lambda expression. So we have to declare similar like this. So supplier is a functional interface. Okay, the supplier, first we have to declare the data type. Suppose if you want to deal with the integer, so write here integer. Okay, now this is the integer. This is a functional interface which is having only one abstract method, which return type is generic. Means this can return any data type that you have passed inside this, like here. Okay, so if you want to deal with integer, then declare like this, first data type, so this is a data type, and create this reference, so like a supplier int, then declare its value, that is lambda expression. So we have to pass here 1. So this is nothing but the implementation of this abstract method. So this method is having no arguments, so that's why we are not passing any arguments, and these are the body, that methods. This is the implementation of that get method. Okay, then when you print this with calling that method inside, then it will going to print 1. So this supplier method is nothing but returning whatever we are passing inside this implementation. Okay, now you will ask this question, then what is the use of this supplier interface? Means exactly where it is used. So already there are a lot of integration with the Java standard library. For example, I will show you where it is used. Suppose if you want to deal with optional class, so string, then optional equals to, so this is also one of the feature of Java 8. I will explain you in further video, so don't worry. I will just want to tell you about where this supplier used. So this is optional, so optional dot is empty. Okay, so basically this optional deals with the string. Now you will call this method, that is or else get. So let's see. So this or else get method is argument is taking a supplier interface. Okay, supplier means, I told you this is the implementation of supplier. Get method means in that we have to have implementation like hello world. Okay, and its return type would be like string, because we are dealing with the string name. When you try to print it, it will give this name, that is hello world. Suppose if you want to declare create one custom interface, you can also do that. Take a class with the interface name custom supplier. Okay, and inside you can write one method like string, then get name, and uh, get name, then you declare this as a functional interface, and inside that create one private method whose return type is string. We will write the method name, then we will pass the argument this custom supplier. So this is a custom supplier, and we are passing this supplier. Then we have to write the method body. Okay, then in that we have to return this supplier dot get name. Sorry, so this is a printing mistake. So this is a name. Okay, now this is one at the same. At the end it's calling the supplier get method that is present inside this get method. So we are doing the same thing. This is a private method of this class, of this supplier example class, and we are passing here a custom supplier and just returning the and calling this method inside this functional interface class, that is supplier interface. Okay, as we know that we have to create the object, so we will create this object of supplier. Then we will write here supplier, then we have to use it supplier example dot get name, but here is taking argument as a custom supplier. So custom supplier is having only one method, which is get name. So we have to pass here lambda. So we will get here hello, oh I am private method. Okay, and this return type is string, so we have to declare here string. I will comment out this part. Okay, then in sysout we will print name. Okay, here you can see hello I am a private method. Suppose in future, suppose I want to write here integer. Now it is giving compilation error because this implementation is calling this method, this method return type is string, but I am passing here 1. So that's why we introduce here generic. So generic means we can pass any data types, so we have to change this one also. This is the syntax for generic. So if you want to create a generic method, private method, so before that we have to write here t, then return type is t. We will remove this string and we will write here t. Okay, we will remove this. Okay, now it is not giving any compilation error because at runtime we are changing is arguments. Means if you want to deal with integer, we can pass here numbers. If you want to deal with string, we can pass here string. If you want to deal with doubles, so dynamically it will return this. This is a generic data type. We can pass any value like string, integer, double. It will take as and return it. Okay, so suppose I mention here 1, so we have to we will print this in here. It will going to print 1. Now you will ask that why you mention here t. This is a syntax for method level generic. If you don't want to mention here, you can write at the class level. So basically there are two types of generic. One is method level generic and second one is class level generic. So if you don't want to write this generic over here, you can mention here t. But for this is a class level interface. So that's why while creating an object, you have to explicitly mention here data type that which you want to deal with. Now it will work. So yeah, so this is about the supplier interface. So basically it is used in optional class or in your other standard library. So that's why there is a need of introducing this supplier interface. Why supplier interface is needed? So it's a lazy evaluation and deferred execution. Lazy evaluation means, as I already know that. So this method will get execute as soon as we call this get method. If you don't call this get method, then this will not execute. So that is a lazy execution. By explicitly we have to mention that where we have to call this method. So that's what this is called as lazy evacuation. Lazy evacuation means delaying the computing of the value until it's actually needed. How the supplier helps? With the supplier, you can define the lambda or method that returns a value, but the code won't execute until you execute the call, the get method. And separation of concern and reusability. Rather than embedding object creation, the value calculation logic directly into your logic, you can separate it out. It's saying that without creating object, we can able to call this method. Example, the optional class in Java uses a supplier. With it, all or else get method to supply the fallback value only if the optional is empty. So we have already used that is optional class. If there is nothing found, then at the end we have to throw something, that exception or anything, or you have to execute some method. So in that case, this optional class, that's why this optional class use the supplier interface. Avoid boilerplate code. Before Java 8, if you need a generate a value on demand, you often had to write a separate method and even anonymous inner class. So how supplier helps? With suppliers, you can write a concise lambda expression to supply a value, making your code cleaner and more readable. Let's summarize. So in this video, we learn about what is supplier. The supplier is nothing but the functional interface that supplies a result of type T when its get method is get called. Why it is needed? So lazy evaluation, modularity, reusability, code conciseness. Okay. Lazy evaluation, you can say deferred and compute until necessary. Modularity and reusability encapsulates the value generation logic and make it easier to pass around the reuse. Code conciseness reduce the need of extra methods and anonymous class to generate the value on demand. I told you that why T needed here means why this T needed here. Okay, because suppose if you want to declare a method level generic, so this T is mandatory. So to declare the generic type parameter, the T tells the compiler this method has a generic type T. Generic type. So compiler get to know that this is a generic type method. Okay. So without this declaration, the T would undefined and the compiler wouldn't know that type T is. So there are two types of generic, that is method level generic and class level generic. If a class is not generic, then you must declare the generic type parameter at the method level. if even if a class is generic, means even this class is generic, okay, like this. And if you want a method specific generic type, then independent of a class level parameter, like this. We can also mention like this. Means both can used if you want it, and that is independent of the class level. So if you remove this, but this line is saying that this is also okay. And if you want to mention this at a class level, so this method would be the independent, so this can also you can mention. So basically T is like a method signature. So yeah, so this is all about supplier interface. So in the next video we will go deep into the consumer interface. So thank you guys. If you like this video, the like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Happy coding.